Well, there are unintended consequences trying to solve a little problem. The baby diaper took off because we will pay extra to solve a little problem to us, changing the baby. It's hard to believe this began 57 years ago with baby diapers. I was then a kid engineer, and this was kind of a joke project I was handed. I worked for Union Carbide. One evening we got a call from somebody at Procter & Gamble. They had to have this taffeta embossed polyethylene film. The taffeta makes the diaper feel like it's cloth instead of a plastic. Had to have it in 2 weeks. So my boss, who was listening to this, puts his hand over the receiver, says to me, "You want to do something for this guy? This stuff's never going anywhere." And I get the call. I'm to phone some engineer in the morning. After I phone him and figure out what they really want, find out this is tough. We don't have any embossing roll. It's 16 weeks to get a new one, and no machine is set up to do this. It's not just crank out an order. And so ask about this, and the bosses said, "Stuff's never going anyplace. Do a chewing gum and baling wire setup and give them something." So we did. Took about 2 weeks. Old Walt, the machinist down in the machine shop, had the bright idea of shaving down an old roll, putting a knurling tool on it, just like you'd make a knurled knob, and he had a temporary roll ready in a day or less. In a couple of weeks we delivered a few rolls to him. And this died away for about 3 weeks, and here comes another order. They wanted about 3 times as much. And it died away. Maybe a month later, here's another order, like, "We want a bunch of it this time." Well, this is going to go away. No, it didn't. All of a sudden, surprise. Under the brand name Pampers, the sales are about to take off. How soon can you ramp up? It was no longer a teaser project for a junior engineer. I was removed from the project, and the senior engineers took it. Within a couple of years, they were running a whole plant on this stuff. Nobody could imagine at that time what would become of this. Nobody where I was even thought people would use disposable diapers. That had never become a market, much less that it would become a big disposal problem, because now those things are 2 to 4% of every landfill. And occasionally some of them get down in the sewage system, and the little wipes that came with it about the same time, they're a big problem in sewage. They wind up in places like you see behind us. Since humans began to gather in tribes and in bigger groups, we've had an accumulation problem. Archaeologists find that old settlements, when the pile got big enough, they had to move. And today, we have an even bigger problem because we've collected ourselves together in towns and cities. The disposable diaper business is now a global growing business. It's mature in the U.S. We not only have the baby diapers, we have them for senior citizens and special uses, and we have these little wipes in addition. Growing business, well, the growing part of it is the one for the senior citizens. It's big enough that the paper industry that makes the paper, called fluff pulp, for diapers and for similar applications, they're anticipating that the growth in that paper business will offset the slow decline in paper used for printing. Nobody anticipated the consequences of a product that began to just help people out with a little problem. Where do the diapers go? To the landfills, most of them, nearly all of them. Occasionally one will get in a sewage plant. It's the wipes that really clog up, the little baby wipes, those clog up the sewage plants. And so we started with a little problem, and now we have big problems, and most of the time we're not aware of them. how do we fix this? Well, I don't think you can without having a values change of some kind. We have to be willing to give up a little bit of personal convenience for the common good. So maybe it's time to rethink diapers. Could we make them differently? Could we make them so they're reusable? Could we make them so that they don't wind up in sewage plants or landfills? That's a design solution. And beyond that, could we bring the collection of the stuff closer to the point of deposit, so to speak? Smaller collection systems, don't pump stuff so far. In other words, reduce the amount of energy that it takes us to do by automatic means. What if we're widely dispersed across the landscape? Nature will take care of it without us thinking about it at all. Well, instead of getting the disposable diapers and compounding a collective problem to all of us, can you look for the old-fashioned diaper, or maybe a hemp diaper, or maybe one that's really nice for the baby and it'll be reused many times, and when it's done, it decomposes. You don't have to send it to the landfill. That's what you can do. To support that, we need systems to back it up. Somebody's got to come up with a diaper. Somebody has to figure out how that diaper is going to decompose at the end and where to take it so that it decomposes without being buried in a landfill, and nothing decomposes in a landfill away from oxygen. So we can solve this, but we have to have a values change. Think about the collective good more than how do I save a little time and trouble right here, right now with the baby.